Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time is, wherever you're listening to this, and welcome to Debates Never Die or D&D. Another phenomenal episode lined up for you listeners. Whether you're new, whether you're a returning listener, we value you and thank you for giving us your time. I am your host, Sheiks, Malcolm, but I'm gonna go Sheiks today. It's my alter ego for the pain I am carrying. I am joined today with some of my homies. We have two Arsenal boys, Mvu and Khanya. Guys, say what's up, Mvu. Say what's up.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Khanya Mosetlhi.
I'm not the happiest to be here today. I'm going through a lot. You know, the result has left its imprint, but we move. We move.
And it's that very result that as the reason why I have this bastard as it's your god of honor, Tobi Animash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yo,
My name is Anthony, though.
So you're going by Anthony for the for the episode. Nah, man. So look, I'm hurting. I mean, look, we start the episodes off with weekend reviews, but we all have one thing we need to talk about. Let me just start off now by giving this guy Toby his daps because this man polluted my timeline for a week, talking about a 3-1 win for Man United, and you got it right. Congratulations, sir. Guys, we have to give it up for this guy. Let's just give him daps, yeah.
Applause, please.
No, look, congratulations. I can't deny
so no
you.
one claps.
I can't deny you.
Nah, fuck you.
No, you're still behind us. You're still behind us. I don't hear about any of that.
I'm not clapping for anyone.
It's very early.
Okay, now look, it's the beginning of like I said, we start off with weekend reviews. So Toby, what was your biggest takeaway from Man United and Arsenal? Because that was, I guess, the meat and potatoes.
Biggest takeaway. I think for me, it was Anthony. I think we're going to see a different player. I think we're going to see a Mahrez regen in the Premier League. I think the fact that he came onto the big stage, man landed 72 hours ago, I'm sure. Man came onto the Old Trafford pitch and scored. Mate, no one can do that. I'm telling you. He's got a bright future. His ceiling is too high. So that's my biggest takeaway.
So in terms of his actual performance, you're leaving feeling like gassed about the guy.
Of course, bro. Of course.
So ignoring everything else, you're just happy that he scored, pretty much.
Did you not see what he did with his leg as well? Zinchenko's head didn't know where he was going, bro, when he went.
Zinchenko's not the best defensive left back in the league. If you think that's the...
Okay, but he scored.
That's the barometer.
What does it score? He scored.
All right, gentlemen, hold on. This is just opening remarks. We'll go deeper into the conversation. Don't worry. So let's just let people get their voice, their thoughts out. Khanya, just give us a quick take on the Arsenal United, your biggest takeaway there. And I really want to hear your thoughts about your boys in red there in Italy. The red and black, the mighty red and black that's won that Milan derby.
See, Milan are so much easier to speak about than Arsenal. It feels like a club that wants to make me proud, honestly. Incredible display from Rafael Leao. I'm shocked. I rate him quite highly, but it almost feels like he really, really steps up for the big games when nobody else is really on it the way they need to be. He carried us. He carried us through that game. Incredible from him. Defensively suspect, but overall I'm happy with that result. There's not really much to say. The champions of Italy are currently defending it quite well. The Arsenal game, it's disappointing. It's disappointing. United aren't better than Arsenal. I don't believe that. On the day, they were more clinical, and that's what I really have to say. I want to leave it at that. I'm trying to move past that result.
Okay, so your biggest takeaway was, not to say it was undeserved that United won, but there was a misalignment with regards to team quality versus that result.
110%. They're not a better side than us.
Okay. And listeners, don't worry. We're gonna dive deeper. I just want to get some opening remarks from the weekend from the guys. Mvu, my guy, talk to me about these Arsenal niggas that just keep disappointing you.
I don't even know what to say, man. I genuinely, I was so optimistic about the game. Men saw in the group, like one thing I wanted was just men not to be scared. That's all. Don't be scared. Don't
Yeah,
be like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
there's no reason to go and play like you've been losing 3 games out of 5.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
feel that that's how the game started. It got better, and then we're just not assertive enough. That's why I don't know if the word is. I don't think it would be clinical. I just think when we're in the areas where we can make something happen, men don't like making decisions. So
Mm,
my biggest takeaway was probably just Odegaard. I think Sheikh, you've spoken about it before, but how
same.
the problems that you've have with him being captain, and I think I for the first time saw exactly what you meant in that game.
Mm.
You know, not really taking over the game, making, although he did create chances, but yeah, I think if he was different, the result would have been different.
That's a
Yeah,
perfect way to put it. That's actually put perfectly because it wasn't that he played badly. And again, like the very first topic we're going to discuss, guys, is this game, a more deep dive into like the nooks and crannies. But like, it wasn't that he was bad. I just want to say it was just like if you're the captain, bro, there needs to be that extra thing you do. But anyways, I will open up with the whole topic of conversation with my takeaway when we discuss United and Arsenal now. But I just want to touch on that Merseyside derby um, with Liverpool and Everton. Oaks, listen, it's Liverpool are weird, man. Like that is a weird team, and I don't know who it was in the group. Maybe it was friend to the podcast Lesiva, who said the transfer policy at Liverpool has always been the best thing about the club during these golden years. Like the way they recruit has been so niche and specific to their team. But yesterday, so like with
Cap,
that being, who said that? Toby?
No,
me.
no.
Who's me? Give a
Mvu.
name. Oh,
Mvu.
Mvu, you say Cap. Why do you?
I mean, if it was so great and thing, don't you think they would have been more successful in the past 30 years?
No, no, no. I mean specifically to like from 16, 17 when they bought Insala, or
Oh,
15, 16, like starting then to now. Like
okay.
Liverpool's recruiting has been so good, but this past window, I
Yeah.
think it's changed and it's been exposed because guys, Fabinho, I watched the highlights. You guys know I didn't watch the game live, but I caught the extended highlights. Fabinho playing alongside Harvey Elliott, lie. That was
Yeah.
that was a lie, and Liverpool are fucking weird.
I think it was audacious, but I don't know if they had that many other options. Thiago's
Yeah,
still
that's what I
not
was gonna
present.
say.
Kate is not here either.
But but
The
but Ka-
alternative was to go with Henderson and Milner again.
but
Yeah.
Khanya, that's exactly my point. Because in the past, Liverpool have had seasons where they've been ravaged by injuries in the midfield before. There was a time when it was like, remember, like I think it was 1920, I think it was, or 2021, where they had everyone out, but they still had people that could fit and fill the system, right? Whether it was Ox or whether it was Milner. But now they can't do that anymore because those assets have depleted and they haven't replaced them. Instead, they've like kind of done a very haphazard um thing within the transfer window where they've bought in good players. No one can deny like Cavallo is a great prospect, but like as it pertains to what they need from a supplemental point of view in this system, is he really the guy, or should that have gone towards maybe a midfielder? You know what I'm saying? Like in the past, they had enough depth for okay, if we have 4 midfielders injured, we can find a way to make it work. Now it's like their depth has seriously squandered and they haven't fixed it. And like the fact that I'm so torn on Everton because guys, I know we have our feelings on Lampard, especially in Mvu and Khanya, but that game, don't you think that like they were genuinely competing?
Mvu, let's
Yeah.
hear you first. I think you were more vocally against Lampard this weekend than I was.
Well, my stance on Lampard just won't change off of that one performance that they had. I mean, look, bias aside, they did well.
Mm-hmm.
That I can't deny, but I think that's a result more of Liverpool just being so bad at the moment than it is Lampard's coaching abilities.
Oh, can I just
That's
come
all.
in right there? That's what I was gonna. That was my next question. Sorry if I wasn't specific. I was gonna say, do you think the good performance was Lampard's coaching or was it Liverpool just being shit? So Mvu, you're saying you think it was Liverpool being funny?
Well, more Liverpool being funny. Yes, like
Okay.
you adjust to a game. Like it's not like he came and did nothing, but I think if anyone played Liverpool right now, it's also almost free lunch. You know,
Okay.
um,
I'm
so
hearing
I
you.
don't think
Free lunch.
I don't think take that with a pinch of salt, of course.
Nah, I
Like,
get what you're saying. I get what
Yeah.
you're
No,
saying. I get what you're saying.
stand by what you're saying. Don't change things, please.
I just don't think anyone is super scared of Liverpool right now because of their injuries, because of how weird they've been. When everyone's fit, I don't think anyone is not scared of them. But right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Klopp made Lampard shine, guys. Do you know
Lampard
how
look.
hard that is? Do you know how
Everton
hard
looked so fucking good, and I was gonna again. I'm posing this question as well because I'm looking at their team, just from the signings they've made. Like Gay was phenomenal, bro. Gay came on and was running that midfield. I love Onana. I think Iwobi has been revitalized in the midfield. So
Yeah.
Khanya, now looking at you, do you think that Merseyside derby was it more indicative of Everton on the up or Liverpool continuing in this weird space they've kind of been in since the start of the season?
Now, I'm giving this Frank Lampard team. They played really really well, and they actually have done in the past few games. I think they've been really unfortunate with the results so far, and
I
they're
agree.
probably more indicative of the fact that they don't have a striker really. Mope came in and essentially contributed to an offside goal that I'm not entirely sure shouldn't have stood. But holistically, I think Lampard's Everton have looked really, really good. As you mentioned, Cheeks, the signings of Onana and Gay look to have given them a lot of assurance in that midfield. If you took Tom Davies out and had Doucouré in there as well, I don't know if Liverpool had enough on the day to have kept them out throughout.
So basically,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so basically, niggas are back in the Prem, eh? Palace, Everton, we're on the up.
Hi, kid.
Yeah.
Hi, kid. This
Hi,
is a
kid.
good time to be a bad player in the Premier League, without a doubt.
Jesus.
especially if you're playing for Vieira. Like
Shout out Patty, my guy. But sorry, Kanye, please continue. You were saying?
Yeah, so I wasn't even necessarily surprised that Everton did as well as they did against Liverpool. I thought Liverpool might have had more chances than they did actually.
Of course, that's a given.
They did challenge Pickford quite a few times, but on the whole, I thought Everton could have very easily snatched it. I don't think anyone would have thought Liverpool were robbed here. I think Frank Lampard deserves a lot of credit for what he's done at Everton so far. Last season they were fighting relegation. I don't think that's a danger that they're going to be facing this season. I think they'll comfortably finish around 15th or 15th higher.
Okay, no, I can respect that take, dude, because I need to remind you, you know me, I'm Mr. Receipts. I need to remind you of the conversation we had when you were telling me you and
That he's a
Mvu were
championship
telling
manager.
me.
Yes.
Yes.
No, look, I hate Chelsea and all their affiliates. I think this is well documented. And outside of Chelsea, my perspective on Frank Lampard has shifted as well. And I'm happy for him, honestly. I enjoyed watching Everton on Saturday.
I am still yet to be shifted.
Yes, fair.
I will give it another month or so, but I'm still not convinced. But shame, he's doing okay. He's doing okay. He's doing all that he can.
No, I can
They still
respect
suck.
it. You you heard it here first, people. D&D is an objective podcast. There is no agendas. With that being said, let's go to this Man United Arsenal shit, and I want to start with my opening remarks. I tweeted a while back, and we'll get our social media Twitter links to you guys if you want to engage with us. We post a lot of football content there as well. But I tweeted a while back when I was watching Chelsea play. I said this season Chelsea are going to be defined as the team that plays to the level of their opponent. They kind of need to be provoked in order to play well. Watching us against United yesterday, and I got the same feeling against Fulham and Aston Villa. I've realized Arsenal this season are clearly going to be the team that are wasteful and struggle to close out games. Because the biggest issue for me with that Man United game is not to say United didn't deserve the win, because when a team is that clinical, they deserve the win. But when it was 1-1, we had these guys on the ropes and we actually could have finished them dead in the water. Old Trafford was silent. Tobi stopped posting on the group. It was tense. And we didn't do it. So now I kind of piggybacking off of this, I want to go to Tobi. This is the question I have to ask you, bro. Great win. No one can shit on that W. Your players showed up and did what they needed to do. But
Stand.
are you not worried, even to the slightest bit, that the supposed ethos that Ten Hag was supposed to bring to United is
This is
not what's
exactly
winning
what.
you games?
Yeah, That's exactly what's going on in my head. And even this morning, I was watching the Gabs and Jules, and he kind of touched on this a little bit in the sense of Ten Hag. He came into the club. We expected possession type football from what he was used to, I guess, at Ajax. What I think the whole world was used to, even the UCL. We saw the type of football Ajax were playing. But I guess just to be quick on this, in terms of what we have been seeing now, is that we saw in the first two games at Brentford, Brighton, we try to play expansive football, right? I think in an earlier podcast, I spoke about whether we have to make the choice of being more pragmatic or playing expansive football. We tried the
Yeah.
few first approaches and it flopped. So now I think Ten Hag is in the position where I told you, it's either you look at the short term or long term. Short term, you can implement your thing, you lose all the games, and then you're like, oh, at least I stuck to my ethos. But then long term, I mean, short term, then you end up getting fired. But long term, you play this pragmatic approach, and over the next few games or months or whatever, you try and slowly build up. Because I think within the last two games, we've been kind of seeing a little bit more link up play. I think even the first 10 minutes or 20 minutes of the game, it wasn't looking that bad. But then there's just issue of where the last 45 minutes is just this, I don't know.
Bad.
I don't know if it's a mental thing, but it's just, it even happened with Ole. It happened, I don't know what it is. It's just automatically we just go back to this counter-attacking mindset where we just, okay. And you know what I think is? Maybe it's because we're always maybe 1-0 up, or it's a 0-0. So we're just relax or something like that. So other than that, I'm not too worried. But then again, I don't know where he's going to find the time to now switch and start to build up this term of this possession-based style of football when there's the World Cup coming up and all these other stuff, Europa. So I don't know. But for now,
that's what I was gonna ask you, bro. Because it's
yeah.
and maybe Khanya and Mvu, you can also chip in and give your points of view here. How okay, cool. He's being pragmatic. I don't think anyone in this podcast has issue with pragmatic football, right? But Mvu, how do you implement something in season when especially when your pragmatic football is winning you games? I think Chelsea have the same issue with Tuchel right now.
I think you can leave that approach if you have the players that you think you need to play the type of football that you want to play. And I think Ten Hag is maybe oddly, but I don't wanna. I'm trying to stay away from that comparison. Just seeing that this is the best that he can do with the squad that he has for right now. I don't think. I don't know how you do it in season, but I think we will see a different United within the next month and a half. Reason why I say that is because, for one, I think he's making difficult decisions and sticking to them. Maguire hasn't played.
Yeah.
Well, Maguire hasn't started a single game.
Ronaldo's
That's not
benched.
Exactly, and that's not because maybe they're not so much better than all of the players that are in the team, but he has a specific style of football that he wants to play right now, and no one is going to get in the way of that. And I think if he's doing that right in the beginning, I don't think he will not take time to implement his full philosophy onto the team. And I think that can come in. No problem. I think that can only come in once everyone has gotten a feel for each other. So the defense stays the same, the midfield stays the same, the attack stays the same. Then you just build from there.
Yeah, that's Tobi. I was gonna say, based maybe you, Malcom, you and Khanya can also interject here. But in terms of maybe how I see it is, maybe he's trying to build, I guess, from the back in terms of being solid and having a more defensive structure that you can first put in place. I guess Mvu was talking about now. having that same starting four, because I know we were talking about this on the group the other day, but you can at least admit that we look a little bit more defensively sound, which is like without, I guess, like the Luke Shaws, the Maguires. I'm not gonna lie, Malacia, he was getting cooked.
Killed.
And I just think that's
Killed.
like I don't know how he even went home that day because he got fried. But the thing is that you can't, like, you have to be honest. Like Saka, I don't know. Is it a one statement to say he's probably not one of the best, but like maybe top 5, well, like attackers in terms of 1v1 situation.
1v1, 110%.
Very good.
He's probably top 2 right wingers in the league.
Yeah, he's like him and Diaz. You can say maybe they're competing because they are very good. So like then I can't be very harsh. But then again, you look at how he dealt with Mo Salah and it was very good. But like, so that's my take, is that maybe he's trying to build up from the back, a more defensive approach, and then build from there. But
just to add, just look how different these guys look like when Maguire's not in the team. No one's panicking. No one is panicking.
Yeah, no, Maguire's
just shows how much of a big difference
that
guy
donkey cameo. This guy came on like his legs were stitched together, bro. No, man.
Look, I don't want to go too deep into that. I want to quickly take this to Khanya because it's kind of piggybacking off of I'd say a very fair and objective hesitation you've had with regard to Arteta in the past. And like I said, for me, the issue I saw with Arsenal was closing games, and that is more indicative of a lack of experience than anything else. Like, I love Gabby Jesus. Jesus walks. Like, shout out to my God. But when you're 1-0 down, why are you doing elasticos? When you know, I don't know if you saw when he tried to get past Varane. You know, he tried. So I think now what you've seen is Arteta is clearly a competent technical coach. He's got a team playing football, but the intangible side of things, Khanya, what do you think needs to happen for Arteta to instill that winning mentality onto this team? And do you think he's the guy to do that?
So I don't think that we were, as I said before, I don't think we were like tactically outclassed. I think we set up for the game rather well. It's just it's the game management. It's the game management aspect of it all, right? Like after we equalize, it really does bother me how quickly United responded, and again we're chasing the game, and then after that you find Arteta. Like, I don't want to say he panicked, because in a way, when he started to make this, I got kind of excited. I won't lie. I thought, okay, cool. He doesn't just want to equalize. He wants to go on to win.
To win. I like that too. I won't lie.
And I like that. But the criticism that has to be kept in mind is that I don't think we were like struggling to like impose ourselves without those subs. And when you go back to the wall like that, that's kind of the thing you're doing in the last 10 minutes or even like the last 5, where you really are thinking, right now, there's a chance we don't come away with anything. I think Arteta's issues are it's a timing thing, and it feels so nitpicky because ultimately, like those subs, like basically the same ones he made in that game are the same ones that won us the games against Villa and Fulham. Against Fulham. Yeah, when you moved to that 3 at the back. So I don't know. For the first time, I don't want to criticize him too much. I don't, because he gave us the blueprint to win that game. And unfortunately, a moment from Zinchenko where he comes in too close and leaves Anthony free, and we end up chasing the game. That's those small things that have nothing to do with him as a coach or why we lost that game.
So do you to answer the question specifically, do you think he can get that cutthroat mentality that we saw in, say, Liverpool? You know, because I think that's the biggest takeaway from Klopp's era in Liverpool for me, is those niggas would kill off games. Do you think Arteta can get Arsenal to that clip?
I want to say I think he can. I really do think he can. Like we came up against a buoyant Manchester United. They were so up for it after that goal, dude. Like we were unlucky to have ours ruled out. Like truly, that game felt like momentum. Really, the momentum swung their way, and it was just very hard to try and wrestle it back from them. And even when we equalized, we didn't hold it for long enough. And yeah, so for now, I'd say I do back him. I back him to be able to instill it over time, and hopefully the team learns from it, because this is a game where we've seen our team dominate against United, at least possession-wise, territory-wise.
That L was definitely on Arteta.
Okay, so
I would put that on him personally. I would. Yeah, you're saying, Sheets?
So I was going to say, that's a great interjection, Tobi, because I was about to say the reason why I know there's been a lot of people saying it's on Arteta, but for me, Khanya, you use the word buoyant, and I think that's the perfect way to describe what that fixture was from the perspective of Man United. Arteta, his game management was superb. I don't know if you guys noticed how in the first 15 minutes, when Old Trafford I forgot how scary your stadium is, Toby. Old Trafford was roaring, and Arsenal were fucking being attacked by United. Arteta dropped that defensive line deep, but he knew that typically waves of intensity last about 20 minutes. After the
Yeah,
20-minute mark, we pushed that line up. We were high pressing. The in-game management was great. Now, it's kind of a very divisive topic with regard to those substitutions.
yeah.
And do you think that the issue was the substitutions or that it was all three of them at once?
I think all three at once. And not because it's not ambitious enough. I just think going to a back three, it was just a bit too early. Like, because of the way, like you said, the way we're playing, we're not struggling so much. So I don't think changing to a back three was the smartest decision. But I don't know. I do think players need to take some form of responsibility. Like, you're going to a back
I
three,
agree.
cover in the middle, and that was not there. Like, so
Yeah.
for me, I put more blame on the players. They sold the manager out a little bit. I don't think Arteta I don't think the decisions he made disadvantaged the team that much for us to go lose 3-1.
Yeah, that's
You know,
perfectly put. That's fair. I agree.
players.
I,
It's just like I said. I don't know if it's a thing of having so many young players, but no, players just not stepping up when they need to. So I think that's all it is. People they need to, I don't know, maybe get their minds right, or maybe like you say, have a captain that can take over a game in that sense, And I'll even go to a player that I don't like that much, but Henderson, he might not have
the technical
yeah,
ability.
and stellar performances, but I've seen videos of how
He
involved he is in the game,
galvanizes.
verbally, everything, making sure
Yeah.
players are in the right place, all of that.
Mm.
He commands the game in that way. I think maybe that's one of the things that we're
We're
missing,
lacking. Yeah.
and that's what led us to concede that third goal, not because of just the substitutions, but a part of it is that. But yeah, just not enough responsibility. Like, players are not enough responsibility, I think.
Yeah, I think in-game recognition is something Henderson has ample amounts of. Sorry, to just close this topic, I want to quickly go around and I'll pose the question now, and if you guys could just give a quick answer, relatively quick. So for me, this game, from the perspective of United, reminded me of in Arteta's first season, the 3-0 win against Chelsea, where Arsenal beat Chelsea. We 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 didn't look very convincing. We were kind of unsure of like what was actually going on. I know as a fan base, we were also shocked because it was on the back end of a lot of successive defeats and draws. So the feeling for me from a United perspective is similar to that. Also, like the fan base not necessarily being sure of the manager. But I'm starting with Toby. So I'm sick and tired of United fans being humble when their team is shit, than being loud motherfuckers when they're winning. So I want to know, T-Boy, verbatim, word for word, what is Man United's goals for this season? What is their biggest goal for this season that is attainable for you?
Biggest goal of the season has to be from what I've seen now, I would be very, very sad at a top 6 finish. I'm looking at a top 4 finish. I would be very sad if there was no top 4 finish.
So top 4 is what you're saying.
Because
United
as Khanya has said in the past, we should finish ahead of Chelsea. We should. Like, I would be very, very shocked if we don't. But
it's a shame Chelsea are finishing 6th, isn't it? Though?
So Toby, you're finishing ahead of Arsenal or Spurs, is what you're saying, or Liverpool?
No, I
He's
think
gonna twerk for Spurs.
No, I'm still no. It'll be ahead of. So I'm saying it'll be like City, Spurs, Arsenal, United.
Okay.
Yeah.
Khanya, United outlook this season?
They should be aiming for 5th. Fifth place and a strong Europa League judge. I think that the Europa League is probably their best bet for Champions League football. I can't see them finishing top 4 because I don't know how they're going to do against smaller sides where they have to be dominant.
Okay, I like that. Mvu?
I think I agree with Khanya. I think United can shithouse the top 4, but I expect them to be in the top 6.
That's actually the way I was gonna put it. I was gonna say if the other teams didn't look a bit more serious, I'd have United in the top 4. But I don't see that. I see United's top 4 chances being a derivative of other teams doing nonsense, as opposed to them kind of taking it by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah.
But Kanya, I'm happy you brought the Europa League up because I think United are winning that. I don't know why. I just have a very weird feeling that these guys, because you're seeing now big games. United's team is weird because it's like you have to motivate them to play football. But if they're motivated, you're done. So I'm getting the feeling of big Europa League nights. I can see them going far because Old Trafford will be in it. So yeah, I think United fifth or fourth, and again we're going to be able to revise our top 4 from episode 1, but fifth or fourth for me, Liverpool being the ones I'm eyeing, just from how they've started the season. But okay, next up, let's look at the UCL. The UCL draw was a recent. It's starting tomorrow, and tomorrow night we'll be making another podcast episode for you guys to release just before the weekend games. Please, guys, I'm just going to point out the groups that I think are of interest. If there's anything else you guys want to discuss, please, let me know, and you can lead that conversation. But the one for me that I'm really unsure about is Group C, and that is Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter Milan, and the team that's going to the Europa League. Between those 3 guys, who's falling out? Let's start with him.
Inter.
Okay, we're starting with Tobi. Inter Milan is done, you're saying?
Inter I respect them very much, but I will see them in the Europa League. They'll be with Man United in the Europa League because Barca, Bayern are winning the UCL, obviously. And then you have Barca who are turning up. I think even we were saying on the group, Khanya was saying, this team they dusted Sevilla, bro.
It's bad.
Bro, they are a serious squad. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
I was gonna say, look, Mvu, with your favorite child, Barcelona, do you worry at all about their big game temperament?
Yes, but mainly because of our defense. I'm honestly still not convinced of Eric Garcia is our starting guy, eh?
He's a liar
because of how good he is on the ball, and I don't think he's that great, but he is one of the better ball playing centre backs, and I don't think Xavi drops him for. I'd rather play Christensen, not because he's so much better, but I think he's more defensively sound. In a bigger game, he would get us over the line versus Eric Garcia, who just makes very poor decisions at the back. So I'm all for this excitement. I really am. Obviously, I'll back my team. But I think what people neglect, because they just see all these attackers, is that this team is not so great defensively. Ter Stegen is back to saving us a lot. And it's good that he's picked up form again. He's back to the Ter Stegen of old. But
really, he's dark for a while.
Really, our defense is very worrying until Xavi can maybe get rid of Garcia, because I'm fine with Arujo. I'm okay with Kunde, I just think this thing of Eric Garcia playing, it's gonna catch us out because of how good he is on the ball. So that's my only worry.
Do you think it's worrying enough for them to not make it out of this group?
No.
Okay, so
if we don't make it out of the group, I'll be very, very, very surprised.
So for you, it's Inter Milan.
Yeah, I think so too. But look, I'm not saying it's gonna be so easy, but I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked.
Okay, and Khanya?
Yeah, I hate to say it. As much as I'd like to see Inter pull off a shock, I think they are probably the weakest of the heavy hitters in this group. They're also playing without Lukaku tomorrow, and I don't know exactly how well they'll adapt to that against Bayern. like when you know how tight the group is going to be when you enter these kinds of games at home, when you need to get a win, and you don't have probably your most clinical striker. I think Inter is just going to come up a little bit short.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
That's fair. Now the next group that my opinion. Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I don't know. For me, I know like Barcelona and Bayern are the standout names, and I say this, take this with a pinch of salt, but I think all three of these teams have fraudulent behavior because Toby, you're pointing out and who rightly so, you're pointing out Barcelona's suspect defending. But Bayern Munich, Oaks, Upamecano, what's happening? That Oak is
you.
he's weird,
He's
bro.
not that good. He's not that good.
Yeah,
He's unfortunately as close to Eric Garcia that we will see in any other defender. He's really good in the ball, but defensively, there's not much there.
and
I,
that's why like I saw the extended highlights against Union Berlin this weekend, and he's weak, bro. Like, so
You were
that's what I'm saying. Like, guys,
skating.
I think we're gonna get a shock here. I think Inter's going through, and that second spot is between Bayern and Barca.
My hot take is Barcelona finish top of the group. I don't know.
That's possible.
That'll be just dependent on the game against Bayern at the
I,
Allianz.
Actually,
But
yeah, I'm
it'll be tough.
co-signing that. But I'm saying Barca first, Inter second, Bayern are joining
Huh?
us in Europa. I'm telling you. I'm telling you,
No,
boys.
fire
I'm
that guy
telling you.
before it happens.
Uh,
But I have a
oh,
question for Mvu. Mvu, what happened to Kessie, by the way? What's happening with him?
I just don't think he was signed to be a starter.
Oh, really? Damn.
Well, I mean,
who do you think he'll come in
who-
for, Toby?
yeah, because like De Jong is struggling to start for Gavi, and I don't think that's right. But if that's happening, where was Casey gonna start?
No, I was
He's
just
not
very
benching
interested
Pep.
because I don't know. I think that talent on the bench is just very interesting to see. Should have came Man United, but that's a story for another day. But yeah,
I
Malcom.
and as as good as Casey is, I just really don't know how much of a fit he is at Barca. He's
yeah,
probably the most different midfielder, but I
yeah.
don't know how successful he'll be because I
Yeah,
don't think we're gonna adjust to play to his strengths. And if that's
yeah.
not gonna happen, then what's the point of having him?
Nah, I hear
Yeah, that's a good point because you're kind of seeing a convergence back to the La Masia Barcelona of old. Like the when Coleman was there, you kind of saw a bit of a branch out to prioritizing slightly different players. Obviously, De Jong was
It, it
one, but
it
now,
reminds me slightly of the time we signed Alex Song. You know,
yes,
Oh,
yeah, that's a
oh
fucking great
no.
comparison.
it.
That's a
That
great
is.
comparison.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly, Group D, and I want Kanye's opinion on this because he's watched all these guys, all these teams play. Somehow this guy's time for everyone. But it's Frankfurt, Tottenham, Sporting, Marseille. Before I get your take, I just want to start this off by saying, guys, I've never looked at a group and not seen a clear winner like this
yeah,
in my life.
yeah, it's a very good group.
I have the clear winner for you, sir.
Who is
Marseille.
it?
He's gonna suck
Mario
my.
Götze enjoys.
Oh,
He's
right.
back.
Ah,
He's back, ladies and
okay.
gentlemen.
I
I
can't
honestly
believe this.
no. This for me. This is the most exciting part of the group stages. He's played so well in his first few games. They beat Leipzig 4-0 this weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
And I don't know. I feel like these are the dark horses for the Champions League this season. I don't know how well they're going to sustain it. The squad isn't particularly deep, but for right now, I think that they're probably the team coming into this group the strongest form wise.
Ah, A- and
Yeah.
and Toby, because Conte is your uncle, are you are you at all worried about his fraudulent behavior in the Champions League? Because last time he was at the Champions League group stage exit, correct?
Correct.
So
Correct.
Toby, are you worried, and does that make you walk back any confidence you have in him as a manager?
Worried. I'm not really worried because obviously I don't hate Spurs. I really like Conte. I think he's a very good coach. I don't know if. Well, I guess this is a question I can ask back: is do Spurs really have the depth to not to have a good run in this and the Premier League? That's the question.
Mm.
So
My answer is no, but yeah, I
no,
hear you.
see. So I
Mm.
think that's the issue. So I don't want to say he has to choose, but he is gonna have to choose at some point. And whether that's maybe just going for a Carabao Cup or something, but I don't know. I can see them going through, but I don't know how much of an impact that will have for the Prem and other things that they want to do. So it's going to be a big decision for Conte, whether he's going to want to do something in the Champions League or if he wants to focus on the Prem. That's just
My hot take, piggybacking off of that, my hot take is Frankfurt and Marseille are through. Spurs is joining us in Europa League. Mvu, what are you seeing?
Say again.
Frankfurt and Marseille are through, and Spurs is joining us in the Europa League.
Oh yeah, easily. Conte, Tobi is saying this like Conte has a choice. We've seen him in this is just his DNA. They make it through. I'm surprised because of it, because Conte is their coach. And this is not like a reflection of how bad his coaching is or anything like that. He's a great manager, but I just don't know why he can't transform his form in the leagues into Europe. So that's the only reason I think they will make it through. But I think you'd care. I think he cares more about the league than Champions League, really. So I was gonna say so much effort in the Champions League.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. There's always been a bit of a gravitation towards his league form. Khanya, would you agree with that?
Well, I don't think that it's an intentional thing that he only focuses on the league. I think Kante's just fairly rigid. Like he sticks to this formation so ardently that, like, you know, at a certain point it does get exposed in Europe. But I think they'll make it through. I don't know if they'll finish on top, but I think they'll go through purely because quality will tell.
Yeah,
like players like Kane, you know, this is a competition that he's desperate to play in, right? Like this is why he wanted to leave last season. He needs to be playing this competition. I don't know how Conte could justify like coming to Spurs, finishing top 4, and then not trying to make sure that they make it through at all costs. So I think it'll be. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to just jump on that thing of, they definitely have the best team, but there is a real there's some murmurs arising in the Spurs camp with the fans that are saying Son should get dropped and it should be Richarlison and Kulusevski supporting Kane because Son is not performing well. And I think in the Champions League, in this group, and also kind of looking at how Spurs are running as a club, you need your big hitters to be big hitters. So do you think that Son, do you see Son ascending to the levels we know him to be? And how important is that ascension for them getting through this group?
I mean, I think that's why they bought Richarlison, right? Like they needed another option on that side, someone who can potentially also play through the center in a game where Kane's not playing. I don't think that Son is going to be the be all and end all. I'd like to think that his downturn in form is more a blip, maybe just results of fatigue than anything else, anything severe. So for me, like the Son thing, it's been blown out of proportion. He was top scorer last season. He barely ever misses a game. Him having a downturn in form shouldn't be thought of too much. I think he needs a game or two out the side just to try and recuperate. But I don't think that Spurs are going to be massively worse off if he isn't at his best, considering that they signed Richarlison. That's 50 million signing. That is as close to a marquee signing as you get when you play for Spurs, or when you're a Spurs fan, rather.
That's a good point. They do have a lot of resources. Look, guys, you guys can kill me, but my take is Europa League. We're going to see Arsenal, United, Spurs, and Bayern Munich. That's what I'm telling you guys right now.
Okay, I think I did Nyat Spurs a bit. Like they are actually so much, like the squad is a lot better than the other teams that are in the group. So
that is true.
So Conte might get away with this one. He might just get away with this one.
They would make it much further than the round of 16, though. I don't think there's much else.
And I just want to emphasize, this is just because of how he's performed in Europe before, nothing to do with his coaching abilities and the Spurs side. I just don't know why he just can't perform in Europe.
Historical precedent.
Yeah.
I think it's what Khanya said. I think it's really just a thing of, Conte is what I consider to be a reactionary coach, or a counteraction coach. So Conte is kind of like Jose Mourinho, but on steroids, in the sense that he's a counterpuncher, right? So he waits for you to attack and then he jabs you. Now, or not necessarily attack. He kind of waits to see how you're structuring your team, and then he will counteract that. In the Champions League, it's coaches tend to do one-off planning. Coaches tend to throw curveballs, so it's like not as straightforward as the Prem, where Brighton play tips for all intents and purposes. Brighton will play one way the whole season. Arsenal will play one way. City will play one way. Pep Guardiola was in the Champions League final. What did he say? He said, no CDM. We're going 6 attackers. It backfired, but do you see what I'm saying? So I think with Conte as a counter puncher coach, it kind of does fuck him over a bit because you're kind of waiting for a team to fall into habits that they perpetually do, but they just don't do it. Like Rafa Benitez being one of the best at all time at that. Khanya, I want to ask you quickly, Sporting, any whispers from that camp in regard to performance, how they're doing in Liga NOS? Do you have any word?
I'm nervous for them. I can't lie to you. They aren't looking that great domestically. They're 7th right now.
Yeah.
When Ronaldo is being linked to the move, their coach supposedly made a statement saying he wouldn't take him. And like the articles that came out as a result of it, he doesn't have a leg to stand on. He'd love Ronaldo right now because I think he made that statement just before they were beaten 3-0 by Porto.
Yeah.
So
even by some other that Chavez team, bro, they got smoked.
Yeah, I think they lost 2-0 to Chavez the week after that. So yeah, they look a lot weaker. They've lost Sarabia. He's gone back to PSG. He was on loan. And he was the top scorer last season. So I don't know. They're really unknown quantity for me right now. They signed Marcus Edwards, an English player. He actually played for Spurs as well.
I know him. He played for Derby, yeah.
Yeah, Derby and Spurs. Got Trincao on loan. Like, look, they're a decent Portuguese side. I struggle to see them really making any waves in this group. For me, they are the weaker side here.
Is that
They've got too much to try and deal with.
Who did they replace Paulinho with?
I'm not even entirely sure.
They didn't replace him.
No, they did replace. Like they signed. I think they signed a Greek player. Alex Andropoulos is the only DM I know that they signed. So
I think they should look at a Portuguese attacking midfielder that's in Manchester that's doing nonsense. They should look to get that guy on loan. But
but Sporting also, like in the last game, seem to have they've played with 2 holding players. So I think they'll be okay.
They've lost both of them though, bro. Even that Nunes guy, they lost him.
But they've switched to a back 5. I don't know. I think I've seen them play with the back 5 in 2 games. But again, this has been highlights, so let me not speak too much into it. But
no, fair. I just wanted to get an insight on those guys to kind of get a decent outlook on the group. So those are the 2 groups I had highlighted. I feel like the rest of them are pretty straightforward, and that brings us to the closing topic. There are 2 really that we can discuss just because of time. We can't do them both. Would you guys prefer to have a look at the 3 best and worst transfer windows, or would you prefer to have a quick introduction to a segment called Versus that we have come up with on the group?
I think we should probably take a look at. I think we can do both. The top three windows, top 3 worst windows are quite easy. I'll just kick off with mine. My top 3 worst, well, the very worst for me is Leicester. I think for obvious reasons, like they've struggled to bring players in. They've clearly got financial issues at the club right now, and right now look like they could be relegation candidates with the way they've started, despite the squad itself being quite strong. We've had this argument in the group already. My top 3 windows would be, the top 3 for me is PSG, Barca, and City. In order, I'd want to give it to City, but I hear the argument for why someone else might say Barca. And then obviously I'd round up with PSG because they finally decided that they need a midfield after years neglecting that area. And I look at that squad now and I think that they're suited to win the Champions League now for the first time.
Yeah. Okay. And Mvu, anything to comment on that, Toby? Let's go on Mvu first.
My worst is Bournemouth. I hear the Leicester chats, but that's probably just more because of who they are. But yeah, Bournemouth, Bournemouth have done nothing, bro. Yeah, their signings are not going to get them anywhere. And they lost 9-0. So, but yeah, Bournemouth probably the worst. I think the best for me, I think my top three is the same as Khanya's. It would be PSG, Barca, and City. City, I think more because yeah, Haaland is a big signing, man. I'm still upset that they let Sterling go, but signing Haaland was mega. And I think unlike the other teams, maybe not. Let me not say that, but he elevates City to a dangerous level. PSG, I'm just not convinced on their striker. But if the front, I haven't seen too much of him. But if the front three stays fit and everything, then they're looking very, very, very good. And then Barca, we have so many attackers. It's insane. I just wish we were not signing stupid defenders. Like, I don't know why we signed Marcos Alonso. I don't know why Eric Garcia is still a Barcelona player. I just worry for our defense, but our forward signings have been good. I can't really complain about any of them there. I was skeptical about Rafinha. I'm okay now. Yeah, that's my top three.
Oh, Tobi?
Yeah. My top three are probably gonna have to say in terms of probably Barcelona, PSG, and then probably Nottingham Forest. I think when you come into the Premier League, spending that much money, buying about 20? How many players? 21 players.
I think
21
18.
players. I think 21.
Cooper!
20. Oh, Cooper, what a fool, man. He lost to Burn. I don't want to talk about that anyway. But 21 players that they've signed. But like so, and there's some good players there, especially Dennis. I've loved that guy since his days at Watford.
Very good.
So Emmanuel Dennis, very good player. So I think those guys have done really well. And then in terms of bottom three, it's gonna have to be Bournemouth. I was gonna say Everton, but I guess they pulled some people out towards the end. But they're still gonna be in my bottom three. And then it's a bit of a rogue one, but I want to say Liverpool. This is just for me because
Yep.
I want to say Liverpool, but then again, there is that side of that Liverpool are very smart in the way they recruit players. They do not want to just bring in any random oak. They wanted to get Chouameni, they couldn't get him. They wanted to get Fabian Ruiz, they couldn't get him. So they said, okay, we're not just going to go by any random oak because these are the type of players that we need. So I think next transfer window, whenever Bellingham's contract runs out, that's when they're going to cop him. So then we can say, okay, you see, so they had an idea, which is why I want United to be, but that's a whole different episode. But yeah, so those are my bottom three and top three.
I would say, just in closing, before we go to closing remarks, I would say my top three are actually have a top four. I'm having Barcelona as the out and out best. I think any team that can revitalize themselves from the ashes of despair, obviously relatively speaking for Barcelona standards, to being a La Liga, favorites along with Madrid and a Champions League favorite along with a few other clubs, you're going to be top of my list every single day of the week. I would then go Arsenal because I think when you talk about personnel that fit a system, I don't think any other club had a better signing than us. Just primarily in Zinchenko and Jesus in terms of what Arteta wanted to do. It was phenomenal. I then go City for obvious reasons. But one that I think is underrated and has kind of flown under the radar is Galatasaray. Those guys had like a really fucking good window, and they're sitting eighth, in the Super League. Nothing crazy right now. Maybe that's to do with I haven't been able to catch their games as much, but maybe that's to do with meshing or whatever. But at least on paper, I don't know if you guys saw some of the signings they were able to get down and the price that they were able to get them done for. It was phenomenal. I know Lucas Torreira went that way. Dries Mertens went that way. There were a few. Sorry.
I'm saying I didn't actually know this.
Yeah, Dries Mertens went that way. There was the gentleman from the
Oliveira also from that guy from Porto.
Oliveira from Porto, he's there. Dubois from Lyon, he went there, and all of these signings are less than like 15 million in total. So it's like I really think that's a great window. In terms of worst windows, Tobi, I agree with Liverpool. I think Liverpool were weird. Khanya, I agree with Leicester. Yeah, man.
Would it be a day for me to say Chelsea, or are we too
I,
too early
I,
to have that?
I was no. Can I tell you? And this was going to be slightly controversial. My third one was going to be between. Obviously this week the reason why okay it was Chelsea and United, but this weekend I saw Anthony. Even though I wasn't all the way convinced, would say the performance, the tenacity, and the hunger is there. So I may be wrong there, but Chelsea. The reason I had them both there was because I felt their signings were a bit inconsistent with what the teams are supposedly trying to do, so that's why I had them there. But I can hold United as not being there because clearly Anthony is serious. Ericsson, although I don't know how long he will last, is phenomenal. And Casemiro, I think is going to be Casemiro. But Chelsea, Khanya, why do you say? Because I agree with that.
Because for me, they're not any stronger, or at least not massively stronger than they were at the start of the window. And
Facts.
all they've really done is replace and expensively, I might add, all the players they lost in a free. And they don't have a cancer replacement. And his injuries were, for me, the downturn in their season more so than the loss of their fullbacks. And that issue still hasn't been addressed. Their midfield is still extremely weak. It's not the most creative. And holistically, I just think there's not much to fear in that Chelsea side. Even this weekend, they were extremely lucky to hold on to the win against West Ham. If not for dodgy officiating, I think that's 2 points dropped.
They were done.
Yeah, and that's with their 70 million centre back signings. Why does a team need 100 million on two different centre backs and another 60 on a left back when you have another 50 million left back on the bench in Chilwell, who scores the equalizer?
Bro, and I was gonna say
is a mismatch for me. So,
and I was gonna say Tobi put Mendy on forward watch, and my guys keeps disappointing me. But I agree for the same reasons in terms of just value for transfer, but also when I just look at the ages of the players brought in, there just isn't a clear direction. And I'm not saying someone has to all the way commit to like youth or anything, but you have Koulibaly, who's 31, Aubameyang 33, Sterling 28, that's okay, I guess. Fofana is a great pickup, but at that price, you have to always question. Kukureya, another good pickup. I really like him, but for that price, you have to question. It's like a combination of value for money and age makes me look at Chelsea and say, I'm not sure what the plan is here. And no, they round off my bottom three. So thank you for that point for I guess rushing that along, Kanya, because yeah, I'm feeling a bit weird about Chelsea as a club. But yeah, no, gentlemen, I think we can definitely close up now. As always, closing remarks. What do you guys have to say in regard to the Champions League coming up, the fixtures this coming weekend, or just overall outlook for the season? Let's get started with T-Boy the Prophet.
Yes. In terms of closing remarks, all I can probably say is Haaland is inevitable. And then in terms of UCL, yeah, I think it's going to be a great UCL. In terms of who I think will probably end up winning it, like I said earlier in the podcast, it's either Bayern Munich or PSG. But yeah, it's been a good few weeks. I would say the Premier League, maybe for me, is at the all-time high in terms of quality at the moment. So yeah.
Good
of
point.
course, that's often a United win. It must be some crazy coincidence that's how you feel. My closing remarks. I think this next week of football is going to be much more enjoyable than this past weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing PSG absolutely batter Juventus. That is the game I'm most excited to watch. I'm also looking forward to seeing City versus Spurs. There's lots of games I think will bring me a lot of joy. I'm optimistic. I like what September looks like. I think in terms of football.
That's City. I mean, PSG Juventus game I completely forgot about. That'll be very interesting to see how Allegri can just make a good team look shit. But yeah, I think my takeaway is Man United, you fans that have been blowing up my fucking line. You guys did well. Great game, but the truth will come out. I like the truth is coming out. I like in this season for Man United to Arteta's takeover season. Like I said, when we picked up momentum, we didn't lose for a few months, but the truth came out at the end. I'm calling a capitulation of some sorts at Man United Football Club. You can come back to this in the future. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I'm going to call out names. Shungu Dutiro, I'm coming for you. I don't know if you're listening to this. Abhinav, I'm coming for you. You bastards. If there is a capitulation, I'm there. In terms of a more, I guess, short-term point of view, I'm definitely saying this weekend game to watch, Arsenal, Everton. I think it's going to be very exciting. And Crystal Palace, Man United. I think those two games are fucking exciting.
I would hate it if Zaha scored, man. I could just see him smiling.
You know those
veneers.
veneers.
Those teeth he has, man. Those teeth, man. Don't piss
You
me
know
off,
the
Zaha.
veneers are coming.
Actually,
Toby,
I'm
Toby,
saying he's
go
gonna
ahead.
be beefing everyone, bro. You know how angry he? Oh, I can just see it, man. I wish I could be there to slap his head, but we move.
Him and Grealish, like they're very similar guys. Speaking of Grealish, we're gonna have a conversation about him very, very soon. But thanks for listening, guys. This is another episode of Debates Never Die. I've been your host, Malcom Masvikwa, joined by my friends Tobi, Khanya, and Mvu. We actually lost touch with Mvu. I think he got disconnected. So I'll just say his closing remarks for him. Meske un club. What else? Meske un club. That's Barcelona. Shout outs. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
See you.
Deuces.